Hey everyone, thank you so much for joining. I'm sure more folks will trickle in, but I'm going to kick things off. Really excited today to have you all at Viaka's monthly demo day. Really excited about the one we have this month. We have some great founders that we are really excited to get in front of both our audience and in front of our investor jury panel. So I will start things off with a really quick introduction, and then we'll get into hearing from the founders in just a couple of minutes. And cool. So for those of you who aren't familiar, real quick introduction to what Viaka is. The Viaka Network is a global digital community for founders, experts, and investors who have some type of connection or interest in the MENA region, but are building or investing across the world. Some of the benefits that we offer our members include a recently launched members-only Slack workspace. We have monthly demo days, fireside chats. We have a fireside chat coming up later this month focused on the state of the Lebanese startup ecosystem, for example. We also introduced our members for one-on-one virtual coffee chats based on shared interests that they'd like to talk about that during the month that we do these. So would love to have the folks who are listening in the audience join the network. It's really simple. You just go to this website and fill out a short application form, which we will respond to promptly. Also, huge thanks to TechWadi. TechWadi is an amazing organization that I'm sure a lot of you heard about this event today. It's the leading nonprofit organization in North America that brings together both MENA's tech diaspora network and builds bridges with the region. Among other things, the picture here is from TechWadi's annual forum, which takes place each year in the Bay Area. This is last year's annual forum, where we had probably 300 people in attendance in person, and looking forward to doing the same later this year. As I mentioned, we have a really awesome group of founders and investors who you're going to hear from today. Founders will have the opportunity to introduce themselves, share their pitch deck, and then get feedback from the investor panel. I'm not going to go into like full-length introductions for each of these folks, but definitely check out the investors on LinkedIn. They're all super impressive, and you'll get to hear from the founders themselves about the really great work that they're doing, building businesses both here in North America and in the MENA region. Real quick, just want to give an overview of the structure for each presentation. We'll allocate about 10 minutes for each founder to pitch. Then we'll have about 7 minutes for feedback from the jury panel. And while the jury is giving feedback, if you're in the audience, feel free to post questions in the chat as well. And then if there's remaining time, we'll bring them up. We'll bring them up after the jury's kind of had their say. With that said, I think we can kick things off. I will turn it over first to Christina from Kenz to share what she's working on. So just give me a second to, Christina, give you co-host abilities and share your screen, and then I'll start a timer just to keep track of things.
I don't think. Oh, oops.
Yeah, sorry, I clicked the wrong one.
Okay.
All right, go for it, Christina.
I can share 1 second. Okay, can you see my screen? Oh,
Yep.
1 sec. Just want to minimize this. Okay. So first of all, thanks, Hanny, for putting this together. I really appreciate it. And thanks for including Kenz. And I'm excited to connect with everyone today on at the demo day. So my name is Christina Ghanem, and I am the co-founder and CEO of Kenz, which is an e-commerce platform creating a female-friendly intimate wear shopping experience for the Arab world. Okay, so the main way it currently works for consumers to shop from these products in the region is that it requires them to physically go to a store and shop from a selection of products that lacks in sizes and styles, which can be very awkward and very uncomfortable to buy in public. And then if customers want to exchange their items, they've got to go back to the store. This results in the loss of sales on a daily basis and is a very broken and outdated problem for the Middle Eastern consumer. Our solution is the most intuitive and innovative intimate wear platform for the Arab world. We connect directly with our consumers to offer them a curated selection of products that they can't find anywhere else in the region. We also offer education and personalized fit consultations through our fit tools that we've created in-house. We also provide female support through community building, which is evident through our massive following on social media. And we provide privacy through an all-women's customer support team. And we do this all through the basic fundamentals of e-commerce by providing convenience, next day delivery, and free shipping and returns. At Kenz, we curate essentials for every woman's needs at every important stage of her life. And the market size is massive, it's ripe for disruption, and it's growing at an annual rate of 6%. And it is our vision to be the market leaders of this industry within the region. And we outbeat our competition, both online and offline, by offering the 4 Kenz pillars that I mentioned earlier, where sites like Amazon are not personalized, and our online competition is not doing anything to provide personalization or Arabic content on fit and support. We're super excited about the traction that we've achieved to date. We've already reached over 1.4 million in gross revenue. We're trusted by over 10,000 customers, and we've processed over 15,000 orders. We've also managed to reduce our acquisition cost by over 50% in the last year. And we're also seeing massive traction on our fit tools with some of the highest conversion rates of customers going on to place an order after use. And we know that we're onto something when Facebook informs us that our ad sets are performing 22% better and spending less than similar ad sets in our industry. Our business model is very straightforward, and we're working with the best partners in the region to get our orders out to customers in a timely manner. It's straightforward. Customers place orders on our website, and then they have several options to check out with. And we work with Salasa, which is our 3PL, which then delivers our packages to our customers within 5 days. This is our team. They've been with us since day one, very talented, very creative team, and they all believe in the same vision of building products and building a company that supports the Arab woman and her needs. We're currently raising 2 million as a post-seed round in order to double down on brand awareness and expand and scale across KSA and beyond. And this will give us about an 18-month runway. So I'd love to connect further, and I'd love to speak to other interested investors, mentors, or anyone that's interested in joining us as we are tackling this $5 billion market that's not being served correctly. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Christina. I will turn it over to our jury panel and let you guys ask questions from here.
Awesome. I would, can you dig a little bit deeper on your go-to-market for the digital experience and the community that you're building and how you're gonna keep that growing?
Sorry, you mean can you repeat the question? Sorry.
The product and the e-commerce channel is great. I would love to understand a little more about the community you're building online around the product.
Okay, got it. So really, it's just through social media. We've grown an organic following. We have over 170,000 followers on Instagram, and it's mainly because our followers and our customers resonate with the content that we're putting out. So we really localized that content to help women find a correct fit through infographics, through our tools, through our online chat. We do a lot of we do a lot of customer support through WhatsApp as well. So it's very private in that aspect. And on social media, you know, if you look at some of the posts with the highest engagement, it's usually posts that are informative and helping women to find their correct fit. So, you know, really creating the content that actually never existed before in Arabic is something that we hear constant feedback from, and we see it in our NPS scores, and we see it in our surveys and our feedback from consumers that, you know, they really weren't able to find their correct fit or the right product or the right style before shopping at Kenz.
Awesome.
Hi, Christina. Thanks for the awesome run through of the deck. I was just curious to dig in a little bit more on what milestones you want to hit more specifically with your raise.
So really the priority right now is scaling in KSA. We have a lot of milestones that we want to hit in terms of, you know, our traction and what numbers we want to achieve. We want to grow 3x at least in the next 12 to 18 months. And also we want to be more present offline. We want to, you know, it's great to, you know, have the online component, which is the majority of how we get sales and how we make orders. But really, we also want to have an offline component, and we want to be present during seasonal events, during high seasons, have offline activation events in malls as well, and be present on the ground in order to spread word of mouth and awareness. And then another aspect of that is also working with influencers in the region to double down and scale across additional social media channels, not only Instagram. We really want to grow our presence as well on TikTok and Snapchat.
Thank you for that, Christina. And this is wonderful. Excited to check out Kenz. A couple quick questions for me. Why do customers pick Kenz as opposed to other competitors? What do you think are the biggest drivers of your differentiation? Is it the curated content advantage? Do you have any unique supply? Is it customer service? I'm just curious, what are the number 1 and 2 things that you think drive people to come to you as opposed to competitors?
Yeah. So thanks for your question. I would say the first thing is the curation. So it is the fact that we are carrying sizes from extra small to 6XL, for example, and a lot of our competition aren't focused on all of those products. And we really focus on being a brand that's inclusive and that has something for every body and every woman at each of those important stages that I mentioned in the pitch deck in her life. So that is definitely something that sets us apart. You know, you'll see our competition maybe focusing on one area or one aspect of that, but we really want to be kind of the one-stop shop where you can find those products, you know, and we're there for women at each important stage. So that I would say is one driving factor that differentiates us from our competition. And additionally, it is the localized content and in Arabic that we're providing. So, we created the very first bra size calculator in Arabic. We've gathered over 200,000 data points on customer shopping behavior in the region. And none of our competition is focusing on using such tools to help inform consumers of, what their correct size is. And that's how we're able to actually, with our replenishments, place the right orders from our vendors, because we know what customers are looking for. We know the sizes, we know the styles, we know the colors. So it's helped to inform us on our purchasing behavior as well. So I would say that these are the two areas where we stand out from our competition.
That sounds wonderful. And I love that the logo's in Arabic primarily, and then you've got the English translation, really just honing in on your target market there.
Yeah.
My follow-up question is just broadly retention stats. I think that's a key driver of success for a lot of, e-commerce plays long-term, and maybe you're not super obsessed about that right now, but I'm curious, how likely is a customer to come back and shop at Kenz a year from when they initially bought their order? Do they tend to shop more a year after or less? And what does that look like 24 months after? Curious if you started tracking that, how that's looking, any qualitative or quantitative feedback you've got on that would be wonderful.
Yeah, definitely. So our lifetime value right now is around $840. And on average, customers are purchasing from us 2 to 3 times a year. And we really do see it during high seasons. So during Ramadan, during Saudi National Day, during White Friday, these are the peaks of when customers are purchasing from us. But I will say that customers that purchased from us when we first launched, when we were like literally just building our MVP in 2020, many of them are still with us today. And on average, those customers are spending around $90, which is our average basket size, times 3. And part of our goal with this next round of investment is also to bring products to the website that can complement what they're purchasing in order to increase the purchasing cycle of consumers. So our goal is to also increase the 2 to 3 yearly purchases to 4 to 5, and that's something that we're going to be working on this next year.
Wonderful. And just one follow-up question here. So you said a lot of customers are making purchases 2 to 3 times per year. What proportion of customers would you guess or think that is based on what you've tracked?
It's about 30%.
About 30%. Awesome.
Yeah.
Super helpful. Thank you for all that detail. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Christina, thanks again for that incredible presentation and congrats on the traction. I just wanted to touch upon kind of regional expansion plans and how you think about scaling logistics partners across the different regions. I think you're using Salasa now. I'm not quite as familiar, but are they present in those other regions? How do you think about kind of the margin evolution specifically with regards to logistics?
Absolutely. So when we first started, Salasa was not around. They launched after we launched. So it was actually one of our earlier challenges was logistics and the supply chain, and who to work with, who's the right partner, and then. And we had tested different partners at the time. And then finally, Salasa did launch, and it has really revolutionized our progress and our growth, I would say. Salasa is mainly focused in KSA. They do ship to the rest of the Gulf, and we also ship to the rest of the Gulf. We just haven't done any paid marketing efforts for the rest of the Gulf. We've just been focusing our paid marketing on Saudi. And the reason for that is because we really wanted to capture the Saudi market first, and we wanted to scale in Saudi. There's so much room for growth. It is the largest market in the region. And for us, it's important for us to to grow and have success in one market before we, you know, spread ourselves too thin. And then, you know, we're spreading a marketing budget that doesn't make sense, you know, across multiple regions. So for me and our strategy, it's really been important to double down and capture the KSA market as our first priority. And that is our first priority over the next 12 months. And then after that, we see ourselves expanding into UAE and Kuwait. And also using Salasa for now until we find a 3PL, for example, in those markets. But Salasa has been doing an efficient and very professional job of, you know, of our warehousing and our shelving, and you know, we're quite happy with how we've been growing with them as well.
Great, thank you. That's helpful.
I'm not sure if we still have time, but I was really curious about Nayl's question around margin compression and how you think about that today, and sort of how you think about increasing margins over time.
Absolutely. So basically our gross margins right now are between 60 to 63%. And that is mainly because we are sourcing from vendors, you know, around the world. And down the line, not necessarily with this round of investment, but part of our longer term vision is to white label. And with white labeling, we would be able to increase our margins close to 80%. And I've already spoken to factories, you know, that we could actually grow with and scale with, and different partners as well, in the US and in China. And I believe that this is going to be playing a major role in our success in our future, because you know, you can only grow your margins so much with, you know, with reselling from different vendors and different suppliers. So definitely down the line, we would love to start white labeling and producing private label products and brands under the Kenz umbrella, basically.
Thanks so much.
Awesome. Sujude, did you have one more question you wanted to get in?
No, I think Fawzi got it on the margin profile and anything that would increase margin for you guys in the long run. But yeah, thanks. I really appreciated your pitch today.
Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much, Christina. We will be sure to make any relevant connections after the event today. But thank you so much. And yeah, looking forward to seeing Kenz's continued success.
Thank you. Thanks, Hanny.
All right. Next up, we'll have Katie from Viv. So let me just rejigger all of the Zoom stuff, and Katie, give you the opportunity to share your screen and kick things off. All right, go for it, Katie, whenever you're ready.
Awesome. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Katie D'Asti. I'm the founder and CEO of Viv Period Care. We are an earth-friendly and toxin-free period care brand for the modern menstruator. Our goal is to improve the lives and products of people with periods. And we're doing so by curating a product line that is truly better for you and better for the earth, while targeting a Gen Z consumer like no other brand has yet before. So this is a massive market and it's growing so rapidly, and we truly believe that we'll be at the forefront of this rapid growth. It's really amazing to see not only the growth and options of period care, but really focusing in on sustainability in the toxin-free market in particular, given that there was such a big lack of education prior, and now we're starting to see a growth of education and awareness in the importance of what's actually in our products today. So to understand our current product line, we've truly curated a product line for any kind of menstruator, no matter where you are at in your period journey or sustainability journey. We first launched with biodegradable bamboo pads and liners. And what's really unique about the Viv line is we're really cautious of the actual fibers and materials that go into our products. We reduce a ton of agro waste, meaning a lot of the fibers we do use reduce a lot of land and water usage, as well as reduce a ton of carbon emission as well. What's amazing about our products is they actually perform better than most of the traditional brands that have been on shelves for years. So by using bamboo fiber, our pads are actually 4 times more absorbent. And to give context of how massive of an impact this truly makes, one traditional pad contains amount of plastic as 4 plastic bags and can take up to 800 years to break down. Viv pads break down in 150 days. So really reducing the impact on the earth here. We also have our organic cotton tampons that do have plant-derived applicators, and we have 3 different SKUs of our tampons, which have been massive, especially as we scale into retail in the US market. Our best-selling product, especially online and on our Amazon channels that we launched just a little over a year ago, which is now one of our most prominent channels, is the Viv menstrual cup. It's a reusable option and incredibly sustainable, so great for a very eco-conscious consumer. It's a really good beginner cup, which most consumers today are beginners to this product. So it's been really helpful to drive a lot of new users to the Viv cup, and so they will then see the rest of our product line as well. So we are targeting Gen Z because they truly care about who is building the brand, what the products truly are, and they're experts in the wellness industry. What's amazing is our team ourselves are within this target audience, so we know exactly who we're building for. A bit more of our community that we've built so far. We do have a really strong organic community that it's growing rapidly. TikTok has been one of our biggest platforms to date. We have now a little bit over 38,000 followers on that platform, and it's really been about education. We want to be not only an amazing consumer brand for better for you period care, but we also want to be an education platform for tons of young people, which has been really prevalent, especially when we see posts like what is a tampon and how to insert it go viral, since so many young consumers are turning to platforms like TikTok to get health education. And by doing so, it's our responsibility as a brand to provide really empowering content and really good educational content on those channels. We have a large email subscriber list and a growing following on Instagram as well, and that's been our biggest acquisition channel to date. And if you're looking at the overall age of who our customers are, they really are truly Gen Z who are engaging with our content. We also have some really great relationships with some influencers that we've been working with from the start. They're really passionate about the Viv brand and feel like an extension of our team, which I think is really unique compared to how other brands are engaging with influencer marketing. They're really able to talk about the brand from how they use it personally, but also from their own understanding of the period care space. So we work with a lot of hormonal health coaches and as well as a lot of lifestyle coaches. And people are starting to talk about periods, which is incredible. And Viv is being mentioned quite a bit in PR, which we love to see. So we've been in Forbes, Well and Good, the Boston Globe, Bustle, and so much more. We love that people are starting to have conversations around periods because then we can address those issues and then be able to solve them. And Viv is that solution for so many consumers. Now, we started off as a direct-to-consumer brand, really focused both on our subscription models for all of our disposable products, as well as growing on Amazon. But just about a year ago, we started looking into expanding into retail, and we've made quite a splash when it comes to retail in just the past year. So really starting in with the US retail market and really navigating towards the Northeast to start, and then scaling quite a bit throughout the US throughout the rest of this year. These are real comments we've gotten throughout our different social channels and real like counts over other different consumers wanting to see Viv on shelf. So we definitely love to show these to retail buyers to show them that there is demand for Viv and there is space for us in this market. We're in about 1,200 CVS locations across the Northeast of the US. We're also in Central Market down in Texas, which is kind of like a mini Whole Foods, so more of the natural channel as well. And we recently expanded with UNFI, which is a large natural product distributor. So we're in about 4 different distribution centers and plan to expand into at least 12 by the end of the year. So we have quite a few upcoming retail launches. We're currently in conversations with expansions with CVS, and we're testing out 9 different end caps throughout their Health Hub stores, which we're really excited about. We're also launching into Wegmans and Stop and Shop, two grocery chains throughout the Northeast as well, one in the next 2 weeks and one in May. And then we're gearing up for Whole Foods this end of summer, early fall. So a lot of exciting retail on the horizon. Our goal is really to be more accessible to more customers. We love having a direct-to-consumer option for customers who prefer to buy product online. And then we also want to be where our customers are, and that is on retail shelves. So we've grown rapidly this past year, and we want to see that continue. And having an omni-channel approach has been crucial for that. Amazon and direct-to-consumer is still such a massive part of our core business, which we're really excited to see that Gen Z consumer continues to purchase online and to go to our Amazon as well. But now we can open up our opportunity to more consumers by being on retail shelves. So the space is really exciting and growing rapidly, but we continue to differentiate by understanding our Gen Z consumer like no other consumer brand has been able to do before. And we're reducing agro waste by using more innovative core fibers like bamboo fiber. We are truly sustainable from the start. We're not just focused on the end cap of disposing our product. We're focused on how these products are created. And we're also truly toxin-free. There's a lot of brands out there that do claim to be toxin-free and have recently had a lot of exposure of why they're really not. So staying really transparent in our supply chain has been crucial to supporting our customers. Some metrics to date, we actually have seen our CAC reduce quite a bit. So it's around $15 right now, which is really exciting, especially in our current ad market. We tend to not see CACs being reduced nowadays. But by having a really strong organic community on TikTok, we're gearing a ton of sales that way. We have a little over 500K in revenue to date since our launch in April of 2021. So we are growing rapidly. And now we have a store count of closer to 1,400 doors with our launches happening at the end of next month. Generally, our margins tend to range per SKU. On average across channel, it's about 63%. Our cup product, which is our best-selling product on D2C, has a margin of closer to 90%. And then our tampons, as we scale, have margin potential to grow, but tend to be closer to that 55% range. So we are actively raising. We have some incredible investors who have founded large CPG brands, and have gone through acquisitions. We have former Gillette executives, P&G executives, Kimberly-Clark executives, some of which have helped bring You by Kotex to market. So really have a ton of experts in this space, as well as some amazing angel investors and funds, plus VC, who is a big active member of the MENA region. So very happy to have everyone represented here. How we be spending this is really towards scaling and ensuring once we're getting all of these retail doors, we're coming off very successfully and we're flying off shelf. That's our goal this year. So I absolutely love my team. They're rock stars. You all know me. I'm Katie, founder and CEO of Viv. I have a background in digital marketing and working with some brands at Coca-Cola. Kelly is our digital marketing and design director. If you're seeing our TikTok, you're probably seeing her face. So I definitely recommend checking that out. She started off as an environmental engineer. And so really understanding the sustainability of our products has been great to have that as on our team. And then is a UI UX designer as well. Anna is our COO, and she's been director of operations for a ton of food and beverage brands. She came from Popcorners, Vienna Snacks, and a bunch of beverage brands as well, and got her MBA from Babson. We also have some amazing advisors who have had large acquisitions from L'Oreal, and Ming, who is the VP of marketing of Native Deodorant, helped bring Native Deodorant into Target and CVS and some of these larger retail channels. So we're really excited to raise and be a part of this community, and I hope you join us on our journey to revolutionize period care. Thank you.
Awesome, Katie. Thank you so much. And you finished right on time. So I will, I'll turn it over to the jury to ask questions.
Katie, this is wonderful. I love the deck, the pitch. Excited to check out the product. Retail space is a huge way, and obviously you've seen great success through D2C, but yeah, I'm excited for you to expand to Whole Foods and other spaces. And that's a hot commodity. So I'm curious, what are metrics you're focused on? I'm sure you're obsessed with continue to hit certain milestones to maintain retail space and expand that. What do you need to do to accomplish that, and how, curious how you internally plan to do so.
Yeah, really great question. It has been so exciting getting into retail, but as we do so, we're keeping really close communication with all of our retail partners. What's really unique is we actually haven't paid a single slotting fee to get into these retail placements. We've gone through mainly innovation programs or working with emerging businesses and their programs. So that's been exciting. Since we have such close relationships with our buyers, they've been giving us a lot of velocity metrics to keep an eye on. Typically in our industry, in our space, it's about 0.5%. So 0.5 units per SKU a week is the metric we need to surpass. We're fairly early on shelf. We are seeing us surpass that number right now, especially with a lot of the shortages that other brands are lacking in terms of supply chain, but excited to really hyper focus in on a velocity metric as we get into these more retail locations.
Wonderful. Tell me a little bit more about the supply chain advantage you might have now and the shortage that competitors might have. That's super interesting.
Yes. So this past summer, P&G had a massive shortage in terms of tampons, and that left a ton of open shelf space. That was a big contributor for allowing us to expand into 1,200 CVS locations. And frankly, it's just been providing a ton of opportunity for us. The main thing is that our products are so different from the traditional Tampax products. Thank goodness. They're using a ton of harsh chemicals and plastics, and we aren't. And our manufacturing process is completely different. So our supply chain has been really stable. Our manufacturing partners have been reassuring us of that confidence. So it's really what we like to say paid off for being better for you, and the earth is actually allowing us to scale.
Love to hear that.
Just an addendum to Chaghig's question, like how do you think about inventory and working capital now that you're going to be expanding into retail? And now, I mean, managing an omni-channel mix is not as easy as D2C, so I'm curious about how you think about that.
You're right. It's not as easy. It's tons of fun complications. We've had a pretty stable cash flow and have managed that really well. What's actually beneficial in our space in terms of experiencing growth rapidly is that since there are relatively high MOQs, we've had to get really creative with our manufacturing partners on how to scale in a rate that is reasonable for a startup and for a brand of our size. So we've done a variety of things like bringing in loose product, having them kitted into boxes in more smaller batches in order to suffice of not growing too rapidly with our inventory on hand. We've actually just finished a large production run, and that's all ready to go into our major retail partners. And so more of the capital we plan to bring on be slightly less towards inventory now and more towards marketing and increasing brand awareness so that we can be successful on those channels.
Yeah, I loved your branding. It's so awesome and very much a Gen Z brand. I was like the whole time I was thinking there's this value to action gap in the sustainability space, and I was just like curious how you think about or how your consumers have responded to this sustainability angle. Like, do they care? What's the cost comparison to products on shelves today?
Yeah, really great question. I think overall, our goal as a brand is to be as approachable as possible and make periods feel more comfortable for so many people. In terms of cost on shelf, we're slightly more premium than, say, the Tampax like P&G brands, but a little bit lower price point than some of the Lolas or Coras of the world that are more just toxin-free, knowing that we are targeting a slightly younger demographic. We want a more accessible price point, and our Viv cup is actually quite a bit significantly cheaper than, say, a Salt or Flex cup. So having accessibility within sustainability is really crucial for us as a brand, and something we want to continue to drive even further as we scale is having even more accessible price points, since we don't believe people should have to pay to be sustainable.
Hi, Katie. Echoing Fawzi's comment on the design language, absolutely love that. I mean, it's so cool. And also congrats on the traction socially. It's been super cool. I've actually seen some of the TikToks. It's really, really applicable, not to me, but to the target audience, I'm assuming. I just wanted to ask about some of the retention metrics you're seeing on the DTC channel, both through Amazon and your own website. Are you seeing a lot of people just have subscription orders, or what does that look like?
Yeah, really great question. On our main website, when we sell there, about 30% of our revenue is actually through subscription. So a fairly significant portion of our direct-to-consumer business is due to subscription of our disposable products. We also do have our cup, which is more of a reusable product that we don't offer a subscription for, of course. So in terms of breaking down overall retention, we're seeing about a 90% retention rate on our subscription users. So they are fairly sticky. And that's mainly due to the fact that we're using software subscription that are super customizable. It's really easy to skip months, to gift a month to a friend, to add product, to reduce product. And I think by having that customization tool, it seems less daunting to be subscribed to your products, especially with period care. It's nature's easiest subscription model.
Great, thank you.
I think a lot of my questions are around scaling your D2C channel, and if you see that as outside of retail, how big you see that for your future revenue.
Yes, we actually see that being a very prominent part of our revenue moving forward. I think by having this retail presence, it'll actually support a lot of brand awareness that it will ideally scale into growing both our D2C and on Amazon. A portion of that is because retailers do have a bit more control over pricing on shelf. And so we can create more incentive to shop Viv by offering discounts on subscriptions and different bundles that are exclusively available on our website. So a little bit of our retail strategy was to gear more people to growing D2C. So we see that while we see retail starting to become a bit more prominent in our business over the next couple of years, we do see D2C continue to surpass that if we look further ahead.
And what levers are you pulling to get subscription stats higher? Is it kind of antithetical to your thesis to push out more tampons instead of the cup, or are you kind of pushing them out the same way?
Yeah, it's interesting because it's more of an entry point towards the cup. So we see that a lot of our tampon subscribers or pad subscribers will continuously follow a lot of our education or receive our emails on education of the cup. And as they're continuously trying out a slightly more sustainable product, they then want to bring a cup into their period care routine. What we are noticing is that most people don't just use one period product throughout their entire period. They're using a variety of products. And so we love that a cup can supplement tampons, pads, or liners throughout their cycle, rather than just relying only on a cup and never buying another product again.
Katie, where do you feel very strong and confident about your team, and what areas do you think there are gaps in your team?
Oh yeah, great question. Our team is very scrappy. We're all very entrepreneurial minded. And the fact that we've been able to stay this lean as a team, yet have this many doors, I think says a lot about who we all are as people. That's been really significant. We have a really nice balance of operational and financially minded people and really creative. And then as we continue to scale and grow, right now we haven't had as much struggle getting doors, but we want to scale in terms of brand awareness. So we will bring in more retail marketing and retail sales. We actually just made our 4th hire 2 weeks ago, and she's exactly fulfilling that purpose of retail and sales marketing in order to really drive home that channel. So as we scale, I think that'll be where we supplement the most.
One last question for me. I'm curious what your product roadmap looks like. Are you planning to offer some incremental physical or even digital goods? Curious if it even makes sense to compete with Flow with their app, for example. I love using Flow. But yeah, it sounds like especially if you have more folks gravitating towards the cup over time, would be nice to sort of expand ARPU or product selection, et cetera.
Yeah, I love that question. We talk about this quite a bit on the team, and immediate future where we think about product expansion is having more variety of reusables and more options. So as we've mentioned in the pitch, we want to have an option for any person, where no matter where they're at in their period journey. And so whether that's period underwear, discs, etc., while also growing more of our education tool, staying on social there so that it helps drive sales.
I love the underwear idea for lazy people like myself.
That's awesome.
All right. Well, Katie, thank you so much. Jury, thank you for your questions. As I said, after Christina's pitch, we'll make sure to make connections where relevant after the event. And now I will turn things over to you, Alex. And would you like me to have both you and the rest of the MindEasy team on at the same time?
That would be wonderful.
Okay, great. All right. Thank you, Katie.
Thanks.
Hi, everybody. I'm Alex, the CEO and co-founder of MindDC, and I'm so excited to be here today. I actually want to start off with telling you a bit more about our team. Akanksha is originally from India, Dalieh from Yemen, and I was born and raised in Beirut, Lebanon. As you can imagine, we grew up with a lot of external chaos around us. We're fortunate enough to move to Toronto to further pursue our studies. Amazing city, tall buildings, but soon enough we were met with chaos again. And this time it was internal. Being far from our families, having to adapt to a new culture, it was tough. And it was even harder to reach out for help, to find help that understood our cultures, that understood our family dynamics, that understood our value systems. And this is when we really pulled in our really complementary skill set to start building MindDC. I have 2 degrees in finance and economics. This is my second startup. And I've also worked in venture capital funding for digital health companies. I've also attended School 42 in Silicon Valley, which is the leading teacherless software development school in the world.
And I'm Dalieh. I'm the Chief Clinical Officer at MindDC. I am a psychotherapist in training, and I also worked at the leading hospital for mental health in Canada. So in those times, I really saw those gaps that we'll be able to talk about. But I'm also pursuing my PhD in multicultural psychotherapy at the University of Toronto.
Hey guys, I'm Akanksha. I'm the CTO and co-founder. My background is in computer science and cognitive science. So as you can imagine, pretty complementary areas to be in. I'm a full stack developer. I've previously been a product manager for AI and machine learning based applications. And I've previously also worked with Johns Hopkins University to focus on behavioral economics based projects.
We built MindDC to solve 2 major issues that we see in mental health. 1, the shortage of therapists. There is just not enough human capital to cater for the global problem of mental health. And second, the lack of cultural competence in the field. We really fit in a step care mental health program, filling in the preventive and proactive side of mental health, and making sure that cultural competence and adaptation is at the forefront of the product. So how do we build our solution? We have a proprietary human taxonomy that really allows us to understand our users, way beyond your average race, gender, sex. It allows us to understand if a user believes in change or not, based on the implicit and explicit data that we gather. Based on that, we show them the most efficient content to make them feel better. It's all delivered through avatars. We have over 70 different ethnic avatars that speak over 120 different languages, dialects, and accents, which allows us to really deliver our resources and solutions at a scalable level without relying on actors, videographers, producers to generate or even update our content. Just a couple of weeks ago, we were able to launch our Syrian and Turkish post-earthquake mental health solutions in time to be able to cater for the people that were suffering from the trauma on the ground and second of trauma abroad. We're B2B, we cater for different organizations and teletherapy companies. Some of the biggest organizations that we've onboarded include EA Games, Enfamil, Athletes Tech Group, Girls E-Mentorship. And we're in talks with some of the biggest teletherapy companies, such as Teladoc and TELUS, in order to be able to help them optimize their human capital. Teletherapy companies right now are facing a huge shortage of therapists. It's increasing wait times, and clients are just left there waiting to be matched with a licensed therapist. We have created the most engaging and dynamic mental health solutions in order to be able to fill in that wait gap and help those teletherapy companies optimize their human capital. We're in conversations with over 20 qualified partners representing over 250,000 in monthly recurring revenue. The mental health space is extremely crowded, but we're well positioned to be able to leverage on that. We're able to partner with those teletherapy companies to help them optimize their human capital. And we're also able to partner with the mental health content providers to help them tap into international market and make sure that they are culturally competent with the resources they're delivering to their users. As I mentioned, our technology allows us to be extremely scalable and efficient with the content that we're producing and delivering. We've built a world-class network of over 70 mental health experts in different ethnicities, religions, cultures, and intersectional identities to help us clinically vet and verify the adaptations we're doing to our content. Those experts have spent their whole lives researching what works and what doesn't work for those identities, which words to include, which themes to avoid, to make sure that those resources fit their value systems. We really understand attitudinal and cultural factors that come in the way for engagement with accessible healthcare and create those digital nudges to make sure that we fill in that gap. We currently bring back a 2 to 4 time ROI for business with on average 200 employees in terms of productivity, absenteeism, and workforce cohesiveness. We're currently actually at over 25K in MRR, and hoping to start Q4 with over 70,000 in monthly recurring revenue. Next quarter, we're hoping to start commercializing our human taxonomy for different healthcare access points. As I mentioned, our human taxonomy really allows us to understand our users and make sure that they engage with accessible healthcare, something that has been extremely well highlighted during COVID with the polarized healthcare opinions. We're also launching our therapist product in Q3 of 2023 to allow therapists to create their own avatar and their own asynchronous resources to start capitalizing on their waitlisted clients. It is a pretty sizable market opportunity. We're looking to disrupt 120 billion in global digital behavioral health market. We're currently in over 20 countries and have translated and adapted our content for over 17 different languages. And we're extremely strategic with the different organizations and partnerships that we're onboarding in order to make sure that we're continuously also gaining global user insights. And yeah.
Awesome, Alex. I'm actually at Jazz. We're really proud of Woebot, one of our investments. So I'm pretty familiar with this space, and it's pretty impressive what you guys did really quickly. I remember meeting a year ago when you guys were still focusing on metaverse and doing things within video games, but I definitely like this angle as well. I have a lot of questions around, so clinically validated content, and then you're also doing culturally competent content. When partnering with hospital systems, there needs to be a lot of guardrails to these LLMs to make sure that they're safe. How are you guys approaching that, especially as new frameworks come out?
Absolutely. Everything that we do is based off research that has already been published. So what we do is we remove all of the heavy psychological terms, and we make sure that it's in a digestible way for our users to be able to incorporate in their day-to-day life. I'll let Dalieh, oh, so sorry.
What's the process if it starts to go off rails a bit and the person interacting with your bot seems a little that they need medical intervention?
Absolutely. So we also have a crisis button that redirects them based on their geolocation to the closest crisis helpline.
Nice. Okay. And is there any kind of fail-safe in place for the bot to do that themselves if it feels like the person's getting a little intense in intake?
Absolutely. Based on the acuity of their mental health, of their emotion that they're reporting, the bot will redirect them directly to the crisis helpline.
Also, last question before they can go for one another is just what demographic are you seeing the most kind of engage with your bots already?
So in North America, it would be Caribbean, from Caribbean descent and Southeast Asian.
Okay, cool. Pop over.
Great, thanks again for that pitch, and really love the cultural fluency aspect of mental health care. So you mentioned earlier in the deck that you could see 2 to 4x ROI to employers. How do you quantify that in kind of real world employer or deployment situations? And, given the macro environment, I don't want to use the R word, but people are assuming that we're approaching recession. A lot of internal decision makers I'm assuming your target companies are cutting spend on quote unquote non-essential or non-core products. How are you navigating that currently?
So our most efficient distribution model is through the teletherapy partnerships, because these companies have already onboarded so many different B2B companies and HR departments. We're able to directly partner with them and provide our resources to their end users. And in terms of the variables that we studied to be able to provide this ROI, we looked at different things such as perception of control, workforce cohesiveness, absenteeism, productivity, and self-reported moods as well.
Got it. Thank you. And then who are your most direct competitors, and what does that kind of go-to-market look like? Are there RFPs from your target companies and you're going head to head, or is it more through those kind of channel sales that you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, we haven't been able to find a competitor in the culturally competent asynchronous space. We have seen a bunch of different teletherapy companies providing culturally competent care, but when it comes to self-help material, it's extremely hard to be able to be as culturally nuanced as we have been. This is why we've been extremely well positioned to be able to partner with those teletherapy companies.
Got it. Thank you. And then just last question from me before I hand it off. But what's your pricing relative to Unmind and Wobot and kind of some of the more adjacent competitors in the space?
So we're pretty much aligned. We're able to volume price it based on the number of employees or seats that we're selling for those teletherapy companies. So yeah.
Alex, I actually have a question, maybe like to bring things back a little bit. And I had trouble understanding what the product was exactly. So could you just explain that to me a little bit as someone who's not as familiar with digital health? Like, what is it that you're doing for companies today, and sort of how has engagement been at these companies?
Absolutely. So we provide companies with a platform for their employees to take care of preventive and proactive mental health. All of our resources are aligned with the identity of our users. So we understand if a user, for example, is female, pregnant, their age range, their cultural identity, etc. And we provide them with the most aligned resources, contextualized as well, for them to engage with. We've seen 4 times more engagement with our resources compared to non-culturally adapted solutions.
And at the risk of sounding dumb, I'm sorry. What are people using, or how are people using your product, and like what does that look like between the person using your product, what you're selling to businesses, and then sort of what you're building and distributing through these partners that you mentioned earlier?
Yeah, so when we're partnering with B2B companies directly through HR, we onboard their employees on our mobile platform where they get to engage with all of our resources and solutions. When we're integrating with teletherapy companies, it's an iframe solution directly onto their platform where their end users are able to interact with our solutions.
Okay. Thank you for that clarification.
Yeah.
My question is around trust, as I think in the broader mental health space or digital health space, it's so important to gain like the consumer's trust, the employer's trust, to increase adoption, et cetera, given it's also just a generally sensitive topic. So I'm curious how we've established that to date.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, I was just going to jump in and add, we started validating our product fairly early on from existing research that already looks into culturally adapted or culturally sensitive resources in the demographics that we're catering to. So there's already plenty of clinical research that has shown the use of clinical interventions when targeting certain demographics works better as compared to Eurocentric solutions. When we started validating our specific product, we looked into how the opinion changes. Of course, like you mentioned, there is a little bit of start of distrust, but what we've seen is there is 4 times more trust with a person of color or an identity that you relate to when you yourself are a person of color. And that we've seen across different demographics, not just specific. South Asian was the demographic that we started with, but we have seen that across the board for all of them.
Got it. That's super helpful. And then piggybacking a little bit on, let's say I'm a consumer starting to use the app. What does my journey look like? Do I get on there, and if I'm having a day where I just don't feel well, if I'm going through a breakup, do I just chat with a bot and they just engage? I'm curious what an example dialogue would look like.
Absolutely. So what we've seen is traditionally one of the bigger accessibility related problems that people face when it comes to mental health is you're flooded with solutions that exist on the internet. So you can Google your things you're looking for. Now you can go on TikTok, there's YouTube, and there's all these different channels that you can get a lot of generic information. What our bot does is specifically give you a solution in that moment for that time. So it's not just an interaction where you keep going back and forth with the bot. The bot is the first access point to give you a relevant resource. So you would log in. We've kind of experimented with a little bit of our bot's names. We called her Olivia for a while. We're actually launching it again now with a different identity. But the idea is that it's the first access point where they can come in and check in with themselves, assess what their mood and emotion is like, and then they get guided to a resource that's specific to their struggle. So like you mentioned, you talk about relationship struggle, you're going to get resources. Again, it's you get a few different options, but the idea is to give you information either about understanding that struggle, exploring what that struggle maybe looks like in your day-to-day life, and then engaging with it. So here's an exercise that will actually give you, maybe it's a thought exercise. It will actually guide you through what are some of the questions you should be asking yourself if you are questioning some of your relationship struggles. And then the rest of the application is, like Alex mentioned, self-help, which means you can kind of go through and browse, and we've kind of compared it to like the Netflix of mental health, where we say you can go in and search for the areas and topics that that are of concern, and you can watch the content accordingly.
Super helpful. Thank you. Those examples were helpful. Appreciate it.
How did you like decide on going in through this business model from a B2B perspective rather than experimenting? Maybe you have experimented, but like looking for a B2C channel.
Absolutely. So we started off with B2B. We do have a D2C product coming soon too, which is our almost our secondary side hustle that we call it. We work with a lot of university in Toronto to partner with them, and a lot of NGOs in the city as well. And so we wanted a medium for them to access affordable, accessible mental health care. However, because our primary premise is culturally sensitive mental health, it's hard to do that at scale for every individual person kind of available to the general public. What we like to do is work with organizations to really understand what their demographics look like, whether that's their employees or whether that's the end user, really study it. And then we work with our consultants of over 70 different experts that we work with globally to curate the content that's actually meant for you. So it's not releasing a D2C would then again kind of have the same issue that we currently have, which is a lot of generic mental health.
And it makes sense that you have sort of like a backstop human kind of like helping out. How do you think about like cost structures of this type of product for businesses, but also for yourself? I'd imagine that people might be returning and using this product quite a bit. So curious how that ends up.
So every time we create a new resource for a specific identity, we're able to repurpose it for different companies. So when we study the user demographics on a very aggregate level, it's kind of a bucket system. We check off, okay, we have this resource, we need to build this one. But every time we build a new one, we're able to repurpose it and recapitalize on it.
Awesome. How are you thinking about your raise? I mean, I don't even know if you are raising, but I didn't see it necessarily in the slide.
Where is your team lacking right now?
Yeah, so we're not currently fundraising. We love to have early conversations with investors for when the time is right. Would love to also add you to our mailing list to keep you up to date with all of our traction and updates. But we're focused right now on our traction and our metrics. Definitely would need some help on the sales side of things. Currently handling all of that. Yeah.
Amazing.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you to all of the founders who presented today. This was the last pitch. Really great job, everyone. And thank you so much to the investors for asking great questions and providing some really awesome feedback. I'm gonna put a link to the Viaka Network in the chat in case any folks in the audience are interested in joining. As I said, we have demo days every month, as well as some other virtual and in-person events that we'd love to see you at. But yeah, really thank you everyone so much for tuning in. Thanks to everyone who participated, and I think we'll call it there. So have a great day, everyone.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Annie.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everyone.
Thank you.